At the same time, we will build on the fair consideration framework to engage more employers. Since 2016, more than 1,200 employers have been scrutinized under the FCF. To put the number into context, in the last 5 years, about 40,000 employers have applied for EPs at least once. So you have the 1,002 in the last 5 years, but you've also got this 40,000. Some members, including Mr. Pritam Singh and Mr. Leong Man Wai, may not have realized this. Firms that are scrutinized have not flouted any rules yet, unlike the example I cited above. Instead, we have identified them through proactive surveillance because of their unusually high reliance on foreigners in their PMET workforce when compared to their industry peers. Until they improve, we will reject or hold back their work pass applications. At the same time, TAFEP engages them to understand their problems and help them strengthen their hiring practices. For example, we found that one firm dealt almost exclusively with high net worth clients from a particular country with language and cultural preferences. So this company need not have been in Singapore. They could have served these high net worth clients from somewhere else, Hong Kong, for example. Nonetheless, through TAFEP's advice, this company agreed that non-client-facing roles could be filled by locals. In another instance, the company had been genuinely unfamiliar with local recruitment channels and welcomed WSG's assistance. In yet another case, the local office sought special approval from their overseas headquarters to expand the recruitment criteria to take into account local conditions. They were in fact grateful to TAFEP for having helped to bring about this change with HQ. In all, 3,200 EP applications have been rejected or withheld by MOM or withdrawn by the employers while they were being scrutinized. But these employers have hired more than 4,800 Singaporean PMETs as a result. In other words, this targeted approach has helped to keep and expand local PMET employment in these firms. If instead we had chosen to vilify them through a name and shame approach, we would have frustrated their efforts to expand local hiring. This is ultimately counterproductive, not advantageous to us. In the case of the company that had high net worth clients, they very easily could have gone somewhere else. And all of those opportunities would have been lost to us. Our alternative approach of scrutinizing and engaging employers is highly resource intensive, but in fact, a more effective way to get businesses to reshape their HR practices. This is why MOM plans to engage an expanded group of employers to review their hiring practices. This expanded group will include firms whose Singaporean core has been weakening, or whose EP and S-Pass workforce are overly concentrated from a single foreign nationality source. Through active intervention, we will help them reshape their workforce profiles. We will do this together with economic agencies like EDB and MAS. And as Mr. Ang suggested, we will also engage the HR community to do more. Sir, like many MPs, I receive direct feedback from Singaporeans. They write to tell me about specific job applications or where they felt that they had been sidelined, or retrenchment exercises where they felt that they had been treated unfairly. They may also share observations about FCF rules being ignored. MOM takes all such feedback seriously as they complement our own proactive surveillance efforts. We investigate thoroughly by interviewing the parties concerned and going through relevant records and exchanges, sometimes mountains of records, to ensure that the retrenchment and hiring decisions have been conducted fairly. For example, a whistleblower told us his former employer, an IT consultancy firm, had hired an EP holder through the recommendation of another EP holder who was a friend. So, recommending friends for job openings is not by itself wrong. The problem here was that the employer had not considered other possible local candidates as well. This decision was cleared with the general manager, which made it worse. As a penalty, the company will not be able to hire or renew work passes for 18 months, 1.5 years. I don't think they will forget such an experience. I hope these examples reassure members that where there's evidence of unfairness, we will not hesitate to hold employers to account and lean on them to do better in future. However, such actions do not always bring satisfaction to the victims. Something is inevitably damaged in the process, a sense of trust, of fairness in the organization's value system. And as MPs have pointed out, for every errant employer caught, there are other bad hats, and at least one other bad hat who is still trying to circumvent the rules. This is why MOM calls on employer groups to step up. No amount of rules will be enough if employers do not have the shared sense of commitment to fair hiring and responsible retrenchment. No amount of enforcement resources will catch enough employers if they are determined to hide. What we lose then is not just a job opportunity for a local, but the trust that the system is fair and that the odds were not stacked against people who are trying. The government cannot do this alone. We need employers to do your part. Be fair to locals when you hire or when you have to retrench. Mr. Speaker, in these uncertain times, there have also been suggestions to use levies and quotas to regulate the number of EP holders. I would like to share some considerations with members. At the work permit level, we use levies on top of quotas to regulate demand because the numbers are big. At the employment pass level, where the numbers are not as big, our key objective is to regulate quality. By raising the salary requirements over time, this sets a higher bar that EP holders must be able to cross to work in Singapore. Think of it like high jump. You raise the bar, the hurdle is higher, and you are going to need more skills, more talent to cross a higher bar. That is what the EP salary requirement is, a high hurdle. The other effect of raising the hurdle is to push the EP holders at the lower end down to the S-Pass level where there are quota controls, something which levies will not do. So you raise the hurdle, those who cannot cross it, what choice do you have? S-Passes. And if the company does not have enough quota, well then, that's it. In all past adjustments to EP salary requirements, a good number are downgraded to S-Passes. What about employers who falsely declare salaries to meet the higher bar? The answer must be to strengthen enforcement, which we have been doing, and not to withhold raising the bar. In fact, in the last 5 years, we have taken action in over 1,200 cases of false declarations or kickbacks and secured nearly 388 convictions through prosecution. So, raising EP salary requirements helps to improve quality over time and subject more foreign professionals at the lower end to quota controls. To similarly impose quotas at the higher end of EP holders is not unthinkable, but it is probably unwise. When competing for the most cutting-edge investments and sophisticated activities to be moved to Singapore, we need to give agencies like EDB and MAS flexibility. For this purpose, it is much better to use salary requirements to ensure companies get access to foreign professionals of the right quality and marry them with firm-level commitments to build up local capabilities over time. Without such flexibility, many of the top quality investments would have been lost to our competitors and the job opportunities along with them. As several MPs have alluded to, there's no shortage of takers ready to eat our lunch.